Judge. We're going to talk about Mike Judge's, according to IMDb, and anything I could see, these are his first 2 shorts, I believe. They seem semi-King of the Hill related, so that is why we are talking about them. The first one, and this was suggested by Cornbread. The first one is called H-U-H ? Some people have suggested this is the beginning of King of the Hill. I would sort of agree, and particularly if you look at the pilot, there's sort of this guy drinking beer, we assume, watching TV, and it's basically this liberal person yelling about their nice organic food store and like getting angry and how like people who like let their kids eat fast food and smoke should be jailed and all this stuff. I've met people like that. I actually think this works in the way that King of the Hill works, where like, guess what? This guy is wrong for yelling at you, even though his overall intentions possibly could be good. You should eat better and stuff. That's true. Should you be jailed for taking your kid to McDonald's once a month? No, I don't take my kids to McDonald's. But regardless, people who do, because of the whole Gisriel shit. But I think it is interesting. I mean, he needs to chill, and then the guy's like, huh? And like, he doesn't even recognize it. I find it interesting because they're both sort of like, he's passively not listening to him. The other guy is just yelling straight at him. He's never going to get his message. It's just like sort of a miscommunication all around. It's sort of like, kind of even reminds me of what's going on now culturally, where, someone's yelling at you rather than trying to find a way to get you into it, and the other guy is barely paying attention. I actually kind of like that one. And I think he did a good job. To what I can tell, I think he's the only one who worked on it. I could be wrong about that one. Then we have the Honkey problem. And that is a lot meaner, I will say. And probably kind of mean in a shitty way, I would say. Like, not in a nice way. Where it's like these guys playing this kind of like fun, I would say like bluesgrassy kind of maybe country music. You see a bunch of kind of people listening to it. And then there's like a warning about inbreeding. I do think Mike Judge in his earlier years was a lot meaner. It seems to, maybe it was Greg Daniels, maybe it was age, and it calmed him down post Beavis and Butthead. This is sort of, I would say, the Honkey problem is kind of reminding me of early Beavis and Butthead, not in the good way, in the shitty way. I don't like actually the Honkey problem. I think it's sort of like, the music is cool, but the main guy in the band ended up sort of becoming his logo thing, particularly on the one that the Milton one and stuff like that. But and you can kind of see similarities between things from King of the Hill, things from, attitudes from Beavis and Butthead. I think like I'm glad he moved on from this sort of thing. And I know he has like some weird issues about like how he perceives dumb people breeding and stuff, which we saw in Idiocracy as well. I'm not a huge fan of that. Gets into weird classism shit, which I don't really think is okay. But I think is the better of the shorts. It's interesting to see how many of these ideas he had. I mean, we can tell from like, that Hank Hill's voice was obviously in Beavis and Butthead and stuff like that he evolves these ideas. But it's interesting to see where these evolves came from. But yes, the Honkey problem does feel like more Beavis and Butthead. Not in a fun frog baseball way, or in the shitty, I feel sort of turned off and disgusted way. But I like I think that is interesting. It's just fun to see where Mike Judge came from. He came from a guy who was selling shorts on Liquid television, and it looked like Spike and Mike paid for the Honkey problem and gave him more of a budget. I think, sometimes having a budget doesn't mean your short is better, and that is definitely true of the Honkey problem. And I'm glad he was able to evolve these ideas and make them into the King of the Hill, and it's sort of interesting to see where he started from.